Loudon, New Hampshire Motor Speedway, the Magic Mile. No matter what you call this place, there's one thing you're sure to get: racing in its purest form. Oh, and did we mention an automatic spot in the NASCAR semifinals is on the line? We're not quite shipping up to Boston, but you'll get that New England feeling on this week's edition of Around the Track. Welcome in, Gabe McDonald with you. And with all three of NASCAR's big touring series and its playoffs, we've got plenty to talk about as we get you ready for this weekend's action at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. And to do that, we've got our insider from The Athletic and Dirty Mo Media, Jordan Bianchi, back in the house. Plus, you know, we've got all the big gets, so we'll have a mini homecoming for the driver of the 22 for Team Penske. The three-time champ Joey Logano is going to be in Garage Confidential today. So let's not waste another second. We're dropping the green flag as we head up to Loudon. First playoff race here since 2017. That seems very wild. The Granite States track is run on asphalt, and that's got NASCAR switching up the tires for this weekend once again. We'll run the same short track package as we did at Bowman Gray and Martinsville. So what exactly does that mean? Well, it means big tire fall off. Teams are going to have to manage sticker stats if they want to get a good finish at the track this weekend. This track is extremely flat as well, and passing here, yeah, it comes at a premium because of how narrow the track can get at times. It doesn't mean you can't get around cars here. Lots of cars have won from outside the top 10 starting on the grid. Oh, and it's an old bird as well, so beware of the bumps. One false move and you're in the wall. It's a very technical track as well, and it calls for a very detailed race plan.
But really bumpy place. I feel like it's underrated how bumpy it is. And so your ability to get through the bumps and keep a well-handling car is super important.
Honestly, I'm looking forward to the race, man. Last time that we run this tire, the one that we're going to run in New Hampshire, we had an amazing day. We finished in the top 5, I think, in Richmond, and we're very strong. So I'm very happy. I'm very excited for the opportunity. So looking forward to go to New Hampshire, and hopefully we can be battling up front.
It's always an interesting track, but that was the first time I remember being on a higher speed oval. I guess we did at Richmond not long ago, but a higher speed oval where it was, man, with these rain tires and the wet conditions, it was very, very sketchy from my standpoint. So I just hope that it stays dry from my point.
Well, let's go and get into the track trends for this weekend. If your name is Tyler Reddick, then you're going to love this news. 4 of the last 9 New Hampshire winners got their first win of the season here. That bodes well for the driver behind the wheel of the 45. And so does this. In the next-gen era, Toyota has won all 3 Cup races here, all 6 stages as well. They've led 83% of the laps at the Magic Mile since the next-gen car came into play in 2022. Only 5 drivers in the lineup this weekend for Cup have wins here, 3 of which are in the playoffs: Denny, Logano, and Bell. The other 2, Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski. Maybe don't be on the pole for this race either. The pole sitter has only won once in the last 20 races, and that was Rowdy himself back in the fall of 2017. Well, it's been a minute since we've seen this guy. I missed the drip here, and we're bringing it as always. And in that time, he's brought 7 more custom suits that all have studs and rhinestones in them as well. I need some tips, man. I've been pulling up to your store before, but he's still the best dressed man in the garages. From The Athletic, NASCAR insider Jordan Bianchi back on ATT. It's about time.
Thank you, man. It's good to see you, brother.
Good to see you as well,
it's
man.
A long time
no
no see.
Drip as well. You got the shoes on. Everything is all clean as always. And you don't hear many drivers get into this weekend or teams complain about going to Loudon. It might be a flat racing surface, but it really creates some true racing. Jordan, what kind of test does this track present for drivers, and why do they like coming up here so much?
Track position, really important here. It's a driver's racetrack, different lines, a lot of green flag runs, so you're not going to see a lot of fluke happenstance here. You win here, you've earned it, your team has earned it. You've got to be perfect on the racetrack. Pit crew's got to be perfect on pit road because of those green flag pit stops. We see a lot of strategy-laden race. Usually the best drivers, best teams are rewarded for that.
Absolutely. A lot of tracks, you know, where you have to have a full, complete team effort, and this is certainly one of those. And we move to a new round of the postseason and a new bottom 4 in danger of being eliminated as we're now down to just 12. Joey Logano, the 3-time champion, starting another round under the cut line, but he drove his way to safety to get here. It's all extremely close when you think about heading into this weekend. You can see Chase Elliott right now in 7th, just 5 points above the cut line. That's really nothing in the playoffs, meaning Tyler Reddick, who's 12th and only 3 points out, is still very much alive in all this. We've actually seen 26 points evaporate very quickly in the Cup playoffs. Just ask SVG, who is now out after the round of 16. That means Denny Hamlin in that 1 seed certainly has no room to rest. So obviously you look at the playoffs here, William Byron, Denny Hamlin up there. Are they necessarily safe? How do you see this playing out? Do you see maybe any of those drivers under the cut line being able to make up some ground in this round?
Yeah, I mean, listen, nobody's safe. I mean, one bad race and all of a sudden you're going to find yourself on the wrong side of that cut line. You look at guys outside of the cut line. You mentioned Tyler Reddick, for example. Toyota, though, as you said, is really, really good here. They've won the last 3 races in the next-gen era. They have been good here. This is a good racetrack for him to kind of turn his season around and get above that cut line. Another guy, Joey Logano, outside the cut line. First career win came here in 2009. He's really good here. Penske is so good on these flat tracks. We have seen them kind of use these as a catapult towards the championship. This is a really good opportunity for Joey Logano to vault ahead and put himself in a position, maybe get a win even, and lock himself into that next round. So this is going to be an interesting racetrack. And I just want to throw this out there. This hasn't been necessarily a strong track for the Hendrick drivers. William Byron, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott. They have a bad race and they stumble a little bit. It's going to put them on their back foot with 2 races left in this round.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely want to see all. They want to see all 3 of those cars make it through. And Penske, the only team with all 3 of their roster cars in the round of 12 as we speak. Well, speaking of Ross Chastain, he's kind of like a man on the island when you think about him in the standings. You look at the playoff lineup, and it's all Hendrick, Joe Gibbs Racing, and of course Team Penske. You have 2 2311 cars that are in as well, but the Trackhouse driver stands alone. SVG is out. He isn't really great on ovals, still learning to get there. Daniel Suarez, of course, won't be his teammate after the end of the season, so his incentive is lost as well. So how does Chastain really continue through these playoffs, maybe with a lack of help, because you have other teams that are going to have their teammates pushing each other for a win over these next few weeks?
Listen, you look at the deeper analytics. Ross Chastain is in this position because he is so good at passing on restarts. He's really hard to pass. He's good at defense, right? That's what he is going to need. I talked to him this week, said, listen, we just don't have a lot of speed in a race car right now. So they have to do all of the little things. They've got to take advantage of that. It's going to be really hard for Ross to have a great New Hampshire race. The key is just not to have a disastrous New Hampshire race. Don't put yourself in a hole that's going to be hard to come out of at Kansas or at the Roval. If he can do that and continue to do the little things well that he does, maybe he can survive this, but it's going to be really hard because they just don't have a lot of speed in their race car.
Yeah, certainly good for him to have some cushion because we know he is solid at Kansas and a good road course racer as well, getting to the Roval. So any cushion he can have after this week going to be important. And of course, it is the playoffs. All these guys are putting everything on the line, but we've seen some very aggressive racing in the opening 3 races. In fact, 31 cautions in round 1, the most ever in the playoff era. Do you see that continuing, especially here at a track where it's not really easy to pass at Loudon?
I don't, just because historically Loudon has not been one of those races you see a lot of cautions. We saw a lot of cautions at Bristol because of the tires issues they had there, a lot of speed discrepancies. You just don't see that at Loudon. Loudon is typically a long green flag type race. Yeah, you're going to get a couple of them, but you're not going to get a rash of them like you typically see. I wouldn't expect to see a lot of cautions and very few attrition.
Yeah, we'll see if there's a clean race this week. And of course, Jordan is sticking around, and so should you, because the champ, he is here, folks.
Even though sometimes it's uncomfortable, you know you're on the brink of doing something big. So you learn to love that moment because you're there.
They say that pressure is a privilege, and for Joey Logano, he thrives when his back is against the wall, and he has the hardware to prove it. Coming up, we go one-on-one with the 3-time Cup Series champ as he prepares for a homecoming this weekend. And Daniel Suarez is in his last laps in the 99 car, but what does the future hold for the Cup Series winner? We actually got him to answer that at a minor league ballpark, no less. Hear from the soon-to-be free agent coming up next. And Jordan, we know you get a lot of questions, but how many do you get from fans about NASCAR's playoff format?
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, one of the main things, and also the fashion as well. Well, if you're one of those people, Jordan might have some news you may want to hear. Changes are coming. We got more around the track coming up next. Back here on Around the Track, Daniel Suarez is a multi-time winner in NASCAR's Cup Series, and while yes, it's true he doesn't have a ride yet for 2026, he's not sweating it. In fact, he might have a future in baseball. As you see here, the current driver of Trackhouse Racing's 99 car was the main event at a minor league game in Charlotte this week, throwing out the first pitch during the Hispanic Heritage celebration. While the first pitch was impressive to say the least, we did ask about his future plans. He won't be back next season since he and Trackhouse decided to part ways. His plans are to stay in Cup, but he did give us a hint into where he's going next.
What are your future plans for next year? Do you have any yet? Any bait yet? Anything?
I'm gonna go to Mexico.
Gonna go to Mexico?
It's good. No, things are looking good. We're still working on a few things. Hopefully, we can share the future plans in the next few weeks.
Would you like to stay in the Cup Series, or is there any, would you be open to going to Xfinity if that comes around?
Everything is a possibility, but obviously the goal is to race with the best.
Well, for Joey Logano, what a difference a year makes. Last year on his way to his 3rd title, he won the playoff opener in Atlanta to give him plenty of cushion. Now his back is against the wall heading into the round of 12. But it's in those moments where the three-time champ is at his best. I got to go one-on-one with Logano in this week's Garage Confidential. Well, Joey, now heading into the round of 12 for yet another year. Team Penske, only team with their entire roster heading into the next round after the round of 16. What's the mindset and the mood just going into this upcoming round, just knowing the strong standard you guys have set, and obviously the team has won the past 3 championships as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's great that all 3 cars are still in. For us, personally, I think of the 22 car. I think we need to capitalize in New Hampshire this weekend. It's been a good track for us in the past. Each round makes it a little harder to get through to the next one, right? And that's the top 8 cars are going to be the next one. So, we need to capitalize on that. We don't have a whole bunch of playoff points coming into the rounds, so we have to be perfect for 3 races to make it through. So we can do that. It'd be great if we won this week, and then you're already locked in. So I look forward to going home up to Loudon.
And you're a guy that seems to really thrive under pressure. I mean, you've talked about it, over the course of your career. Last year, set the tone early in Atlanta, get a win. You kind of coast through. This year, Darlington, a bit of a tough day, but he bounced back with 2 top 5s. Just having that, entering under the cut line for now, this is the mindset going in, knowing that you have to be able to capitalize in order to get to the next round, too.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to keep grinding it out, right? Because you never know what's going to happen. These races are so long, it can be a bad start, and you have a chance to recover. It's the same thing in the playoffs. Even though it's a short round, not that we want to have a bad race or you can even afford to have a bad race now, but there's still opportunity always to scratch and claw your way back into it. Right? Even if you're out of it, you can still win your way through. So there's always a chance.
You mentioned obviously going back home. How special are these races whenever you get to go back up to New Hampshire, to the New England area? Obviously a place where you've won before. It's been a little bit though, haven't gotten it done in the next gen car, but always a special time, I know, for you to go home for sure.
Yeah, it's been a great track for us though. Even though we haven't got the other win, we've been leading laps, been up towards the front, chances to win. So it means you're there, right? You're in the hunt. So I'm excited about getting up there. Like you said, it's home. I love living here in Charlotte, don't get me wrong. But going up there and seeing your family and the home cooked meals and even the restaurants you remember and those type of things, it's enjoyable to go up there.
And I want to go back, obviously you've talked about a lot about enjoying the pressure as well. Where does that mindset really come from? Obviously you're a guy that had an early start to your career and you've been able to climb through the ranks and become one of the best doing it right now.
I think you have to learn to enjoy pressures. I don't think many people actually enjoy it, and I think if they say that, they're probably not honest about it. But the feeling of not having pressure is way worse, right? If you don't have pressure, that means you're not doing something big.
They say pressure's a privilege.
Pressure's earned, 100%. And so, for me, even though sometimes it's uncomfortable, you're on the brink of doing something big. So you learn to love that moment because you're there, right? The worst thing that happens is you get knocked out of the playoffs and you can relax the rest of the year. Well, that sucks. I don't want to do that, right? And so anything in life, you got to put yourself in the position to grow or the position to do something big. And a lot of times that comes with pressure. So you got to learn to live with it and learn to like it.
And a lot of people, they have their opinions about the playoff format. You have your own, but you let the hardware speak for itself as a 3-time champion. Last year, your fate to get into the round of 8 was left out of your hands. How important is it to set the tone over these next couple of races to avoid a similar situation like you had to go through last year?
Yeah, I mean, it's just all about capitalizing, these races. That's it, right? I mean, if you got to bring fast cars to the racetrack and you can't have mistakes when you're there, right? So a fast car is only part of the equation, right? Because there's plenty of ways to screw up a fast race car during the race, whether it's strategy, pit stops, restarts, the execution of the race. There's a lot of things that you can screw up. Yeah. So you got to have both going at the same time. And I feel like from a team perspective right now, pit crew and the way we're executing races, been really, really good. I feel like we're in championship form from that standpoint. Got to get a little faster. I think that's kind of the big thing right now is just finding a little bit more speed. So even though we're in the playoffs and time's ticking, it's still a long ways to go till we get to Phoenix. So we got to continue to just maximize what we have.
Thanks again to Joey and the folks at Team Penske for the time this week. Well, Dale Jr.'s Xfinity team is one of, if not the strongest team in the circuit. So why is one of his 4 looking from the bottom up? We've got an Xfinity playoff update coming up next. And whether you love it or hate it, we're just 2 weeks from the elimination race at the Charlotte Roval. However, it's going to have some priceless art added to the course, thanks to Chase Briscoe. What? Yeah, we'll explain when Around the Track continues in just a little bit. Chase Briscoe likes turtles. If you get that reference, then you're probably in your mid to late 30s. Either way, the driver of the 19 was in Charlotte this week prepping for the Roval with some lucky fifth graders who paint different North Carolina landmarks on the track that will play host to the round of 12 elimination race. Each turtle, which is a barrier on the road course protecting the turns, is a different landmark, like the Biltmore, the Carolina Theater, and even Duke and UNC in Chapel Hill.
Bringing in local schools to really bring kids to the racetrack and let them, first off, just see the racetrack, but then really let them be a part of the race in a sense. They're painting these turtles that we're going to be, running right around and sometimes even hitting, and for them to be able to tune into TV and, or even come to the race and see their turtle live in person, it's a pretty special thing. So, yeah, it was really, really neat just to get to, talk to these kids. Some of them were obviously race fans, some of them weren't, and for them to have all the questions, what even is the turtle, right? Like, that's a realistic thing. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun. A lot of really good artists, too, way better than I am, and, yeah, it was just a fun day.
Some great artwork there, especially that one with the lighthouse. And the Roval, of course, is a playoff race, and that transitions into this. The playoff format could be changing sooner than later for the Cup Series. You reported that NASCAR talked to teams last week about potential changes. Jordan, back with us. What are those changes, and are they still a little bleak? What are you hearing about everything right now?
Likely playoff changes to the format next year. Nothing settled yet. Still evaluating it. Still kind of working through it. But you keep hearing that it's likely a 3-3 format, a 3-3-4 format, which is basically 3 rounds, 3 races, then 4 race championship. So getting rid of the one race winner take all finale that you see now. Basically, whoever has got a select number of drivers over 4 races who've got the most points will be the champion. So a little bit of a tweak, big tweak actually. Look for that to be kind of finalized over the offseason. I wouldn't expect any announcements, but very likely you're going to see a different playoff format for next year.
What about some of maybe the tracks that we could go to as far as trying to mix things up, maybe adding some more super speedways, mile and a half, short tracks, just have a little bit of variety there.
Yeah, NASCAR over the last few years has kind of changed the playoff schedule. This year, for example, New Hampshire, where we're racing this weekend, is coming into it, and you're going to continue to see that. And the idea with the format is if you have 4 races within that final round, is have a variety of tracks. Have a short oval, have an intermediate oval, maybe have a super speedway type thing, and then have a wild card track. You're going to probably see the continued evolution of that and putting races in there and then taking races out, just keeping it fresh, new, and exciting.
We'll be interested to see all the changes that come in the playoffs in the near future. Well, we're fully engulfed in the NASCAR Xfinity Series playoffs right now as well. No race this weekend as the drivers get ready for Kansas, but what a shakeup we had in week 1. The last man in, Harrison Burton, with an incredible run at Bristol, going from 12th and under the cut line to now 5th and 9 points above. However, everything was so compact points-wise coming in. If you weren't Zillish or Allgaier, this entire round is really going to be all for nothing. Just ask Harrison, who knows focusing on maintaining that momentum into race 2.
Oh man, I mean that's hard to beat. It's hard to beat that feeling of going to the racetrack with a purpose. It's not, we're not just clicking off the season trying to end it on a good note. We're going there to try and take a spot in the next round. And then when we do that, we'll take that round one race at a time as well. But there's a realistic way for us to point our way all the way through, and we just got to go and execute to do it.
So here's how everything looks as of now. Like we said, Zillish is basically into round 2, as is Justin Allgaier, as long as they get in the car and really start the race. Now, you look below the cut line, and we see both RCR cars. Jesse Love, 3 points out, while his teammate Austin Hill, who got all his points taken away due to his Indy race suspension, he is 16 points out. Sammy Smith, the Junior Motorsports driver, the most shocking with his early exit at Bristol. He's got a big deficit to crawl out of now. Jordan, this round is as tight as it's ever been for Xfinity. Who you see possibly being able to get back above the cut line? Is Austin Hill? Does he have any room for error, really? I mean, pretty much none of this.
No, I mean, if you're below the cut line, you have no room for error. You have to be flawless from here on out. If you have another bad race, you're really in a bad spot. Basically, a must win. And you look at a Jesse Love, been really consistently fast this year, ran really well, consistently in the top 5. He's a guy who could go to New Hampshire and have a very good race and vault himself up. But as compact as those points are, you just have to execute. You have to be perfect. You can't have a bad race. And if you do, and you're above that cut line, you fall back, then that puts you in a really tough spot going to the Roval.
What do you make of what a guy like Harrison Burton's been able to do? I mean, just, going from Cup, obviously, losing his ride and still being able to make the most of his second chance.
He's done a really good job of kind of revitalizing his career and putting himself in a good position to kind of get his career back on track. And with that team, they don't have a lot of sponsorship. They don't have a lot of resources. It's a small team. They've really done a really great job of punching above their weight class. And you saw what they did at Bristol. Now they're in a spot now. If they can go to New Hampshire, go to the Roval, and have clean races, they have an opportunity to move on to that next round. So it's going to be interesting to see, but really commendable job for what Harrison Burton's done.
Absolutely, certainly getting it out the mud. Well, Joe Gibbs Racing has won its fair share of lobsters at this track we're going to this weekend. I mean, look at those things. What's in the water up there? Who do we think is taking that beast home this time around? We make our victory lane locks next, right here on Around the Track. Back here on A2T, we'll tell you Joe Gibbs Racing dominates at this place, but two guys who've won here before, they're crashing the top 5 in the sportsbook odds. Christopher Bell, your race favorite going into the weekend, is under 3.5 to 1 for the garage leader. Double it, and you'll find Hendrick Motorsports' Kyle Larson on his tail in second. Denny Hamlin, another JGR car, is right there with him. Top 5, rounded out by two guys at 7 to 1. That's Ryan Blaney and JGR's Chase Briscoe. Only one thing left to do. Let's pick some winners in our Victory Lane locks. Jordan, who you got this weekend and why?
I'm going with the defending race winner, Christopher Bell. He's got 2 wins there in 5 career starts. This is one of his best tracks. Joe Gibbs Racing, as you mentioned, is so strong here. Toyota's so strong here. Don't overthink this. Go Christopher Bell.
Yeah, obviously Christopher Bell would make it obviously another win in the playoffs, and now, of course, JGR has swept all the playoff wins so far when you think about the round of 16. So we'll see if he can get it done and hoist another lobster. If I was making a pick, I would go with Ryan Blaney. He's ran pretty well here before, a couple of top 5s. Team Penske obviously looking good with all 3 of their cars in. So we'll see how things play out this weekend at New Hampshire. That's going to do it for this week's edition of Around the Track. Enjoy the action at Loudon. We'll see you next week when you follow the Yellow Brick Road down to Kansas for another NASCAR playoff race.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.